Acid reflux is one of the most common reasons why I see patients in my clinic. It can present as heartburn or sour taste in mouth. Some of my patients report that they have their evening supper meal and they wake up in the middle of the night with discomfort in the chest or bad taste in the mouth. Some of my patients suffered with repeated infections in the chest and also in the sinuses because of uh, acid reflux on a long-term basis. If you suffered from acid reflux, you may have been put on medications like Losec, Zantac, Nexium, or even maybe some of the newer drugs in the market. The problem with these medications is that you have to take them every day, and these are expensive, and there are side effects with these medications. There is a better way to deal with acid reflux. To understand acid reflux, you have to understand how our stomach functions. When you eat the food goes through the mouth and through the food pipe and it reaches the stomach within few seconds. In the stomach, there is quite a bit of digestion happens. One other thing that happens in the stomach is the stomach makes acid. This acid has several functions. The acid that the stomach makes, it's called hydrochloric acid. And this acid helps in the digestion of the food, especially digestion of the proteins. Acid protects us against the bacteria and the viruses that are coming from the outside environment. And the acid also helps in the absorption of important minerals like iron. This acid has important functions, but the thing is that if there is too much of acid production, that's when we run into problems. The amount of acid the stomach makes depends upon what we eat. The more protein we eat, the more acid stomach has to make. For protein to be digested, stomach makes an enzyme called pepsin, and this pepsin can be active only in acidic medium. That means to ensure that pepsin to be active, stomach has to make a lot of hydrochloric acid. Pepsin is initially secreted in an inactive form called pepsinogen, and then pepsinogen gets converted to pepsin, the active form, with the help of hydrochloric acid. So there you see it. So the more protein you eat, the more acid stomach has to make in order to digest that protein. Also, the amount of animal protein we eat, it stimulates a hormone called gastrin. Gastrin is a hormone that controls the hydrochloric acid production. So that's another mechanism by which the more proteins we eat, the more acid stomach has to make. That's one aspect. The other aspect is if our meals contain a lot of fat, then the stomach emptying slows down. So the emptying of the stomach, how quickly it empties into the bowels, it depends upon how much protein and how much fat that we eat. This excess fat intake, when there is too much fat sitting in the stomach, it releases a hormone called cholecystokinin in the small bowel. And this, in turn, that small bowel sends a signal back to the stomach, slow down. So if you have a meal of cheese and chicken or butter, eggs, and pork chop, that's a that's a perfect formula for having a stomach bag full of acid, and that acid is not going south. And where will it go? Ends up going north, especially when you have the meal and lie down. It's very easy because the gravity is not working the acid down, and it's easy for it to reflux up. There is a valve or a sphincter in between the food pipe and the stomach, which is supposed to be tight and relax only for the food to go down. But if the sphincter is loose, then the food and the particles and the acids in the stomach can easily go up. Research shows that if you're eating too much protein and too much fat, that releases the sphincter or the valve between the food pipe and the stomach. One more factor that contributes to acid reflux is smoking. The more you smoke, the more amount of acid production in the stomach. Because smoking, it constricts the blood vessels all through the body as well as in the stomach. The stomach goes into a stress response, and your stomach makes more acid. So every time you smoke, there is more acid in the stomach. And then alcohol. Alcohol increases acid production. Coffee increases acid production. Coffee also releases relaxes the sphincter between the food pipe and the stomach. So we have looked at the dietary issues. We looked at the lifestyle issues. We looked at the um, anatomy and structural issues, what contribute to acid reflux. Now, when you take the medications to control acid reflux, are we addressing any of this? Are we addressing the cause of the problem? We're not. That's why you need to keep taking these medications on a daily basis for years and decades. If you're eating the same foods like chicken, cheese, eggs, and butter, and like smoking or drinking and or having too much coffee, you're going to be dependent upon these medications. Um, but there is a better way to manage acid reflux. I've had hundreds of patients who switched their diet and lifestyle, like switch their diet and load up your plate with fruits and vegetables, grains and beans, plant-based foods. When they switch, the acid reflux goes away. In fact, um, we have had over 100 patients who finished our 3-day workshop, which is where the Gift of Health workshop, where we show the participants how to adopt a plant-based lifestyle. Now, initially we started doing these workshops to help people to use plant-based nutrition to tackle their diabetes or heart disease, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure, and overweight. We started doing workshops to tackle those issues, but one thing consistently we saw was, yes, those chronic conditions were getting better, but people were feeling freedom from acid reflux within days. There were several people who were on medications for decades, and within few days to weeks of changing to plant-based lifestyle, completely off of medications. It's remarkable how quickly our body responds when you eat the right kind of foods. The thing is, the choice is wide open. You can keep eating the same foods that are contributing to the problem and keep popping up the pills, which is like a band-aid solution, or you can address the cause.